talk about something that is conventional, but nonetheless important. This is Freytag's pyramid. And whether you're familiar with Freytag's pyramid or not, you basically know this already, I would venture to guess. This is the idea that a story has at least a generalized pace to it. We just talked about the timeline and how that works. And that would generally mean you kind of roll along here with exposition. This is where you kind of explain things like the setting and the characters. You introduce us. And then something happens right about here. And if this is like a 120-minute film, a 2-hour film, this could happen about 20 minutes in, basically. And then everything between that inciting incident, maybe it's telling the hero to go on that journey, or if it's like Lord of the Rings, it's like Frodo and encountering the ring for the first time and he's like leaving home. Everything between that and this, the climax, the moment that everything is coming together, that there's like the big battle scene or the big confrontation in a more personal, social kind of drama, would be more and more energetic. So you want the viewer to feel like they're on almost a roller coaster, and you can see that parallel in how this is laid out, getting more and more towards this big moment. And then after the climax, conventionally speaking, you would find a little bit of a release. There would be, and I've seen this, I kind of like this better when this pyramid is more towards this part of the thing, but this shows you the symmetry of it. Then you have a bit of falling action, whoopsie, and a moment of resolution, and then denouement is just when everything kind of gets resolved. So let's say your climax involves something that, a court case being won. You might still have to show a scene where it's like, and then this other character like went to college and like did a whole thing. So that's tying up loose ends. So some critiques of Freytag's pyramid in 2020 would be that there's this like kind of excessively, not that this is always bad, but like a very masculine energy to it. So you have this like very strong, dominant kind of thrust to the story, and then you have a resolution, and then it falls. And there's lots of other ways to do this. Convention kind of takes up a lot of space and has even like informed all of us in this room probably a little bit to what makes an exciting, easygoing, fun story. But you could also consider moments, and this is for longer form work. We're making shorter stories in this class, but it's still good to know. You could have these moments of rising and falling action, these kinds of like multiple peaks and valleys to tell a story. If anyone's ever read 100 Years of Solitude, that's a really great example of an alternative story structure. So you have these kinds of like multiple moments of tension and resolve, and it's how the story as a whole kind of comes together that really matters. And so it's important to know there are these kinds of like multiple models that you can follow. You don't have to just plug those points in. Maybe you do. I mean, again, Star Wars is a great film, but that's just one way to do it, and it might not be the right voice for everyone either. Something I like to look at, since we are talking about short form films that are 3 to 5 minutes long, would be jokes. And by jokes, I don't only mean things that are funny, but I mean things that have what's called a setup. So the whole, at least conventionally again, the whole idea of a joke is that you tell someone one thing and they're kind of situated to expect that you're going in a certain direction with it. And then the punchline, it's like an actual punch, surprises you and takes you in a completely different direction. So in the micro, this is a good way to think about like a reversal in your plot. We call this a reversal. And these are those moments that are the peaks and valleys too. So if you're looking at trying to understand also what a climax can be, or what even multiple climaxes in a storyline can look like, you can think about these reversals. You pretend that something's going to happen this one way. Maybe it's, Frodo is mounting an insurmountable task. He's trying to, this little hobbit is trying to face this huge force, this powerhouse. I don't know why I'm using Lord of the Rings all of a sudden. It's because these big epics do this really like neatly. And then the reversal is like, and he does it, and he, through compassion and friendship and all those other things actually like saves the day. We're not going to watch this. Spoiler alert for my other classes, this kind of concept of jokes and reversals plays a major part in the final assignment of the 2D class. But you can take a look at like Wile E. Coyote and the way that he encounters different reversals, even in one short animation. So in this film, which you're welcome to look up, you have the link because all of these are of course embedded as slides into Canvas as well. He gets this kind of like sail thing from Acme Corporation and thinks that it's going to help him run real fast and catch the Roadrunner. But instead, the curve shows up in a road, and when the Roadrunner is able to deftly kind of round that corner, he just flies right off the edge and into a wall. And so that's an example of a